Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Anderson, president of Brooklyn College, and welcome to the Spring 2020 stated meeting of the faculty. The stated meeting is something that I do once a semester in the fall and once a semester in the spring. The last one we had was mid-October 2019, which now seems a world away. This photograph itself is a picture I took about a year ago on campus. The beautiful azaleas. Today's agenda for the stated meeting includes a discussion of many of the accomplishments for Brooklyn College before COVID-19 hit, a discussion of what happened when COVID-19 came to us, how we went remote as a campus, both in terms of classes and the work of the college, how the college is still flourishing, an assessment of the fiscal year ahead as we come to understand the budget, how we're going to work together to enhance student success, a recognition of the loss of 4 members of the community to COVID-19, and then thoughts about returning to campus. Shortly after the last stated meeting of the faculty, our women's basketball team won the CUNY Athletic Conference tournament. Here is a terrific picture of the women's team which dominated the conference. At the same time, our men's basketball team won the CUNY Athletic Conference tournament. Wow, almost no one wins both the women's and the men's team. What an accomplishment. We're so proud that Coach Alex Lang won Coach of the Year. He's the coach for the women's basketball team, and he was best in the division. Professor Stephen Chester published some groundbreaking work with a team of other scientists in Science magazine. He's a professor of anthropology and paleontologist. He was a key collaborator in a discovery that reveals how the world recovered, how life recovered after an asteroid wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago, and we saw the rise of mammals. We were able to open the Immigrant Student Success Office. Here we have at the center Jesus Perez, who is the executive director of ISO, the Immigrant Student Success Office. We have the chancellor to my right, a number of elected officials, and the family members of Erwin Fetterman, who gave the grant that made ISO possible. This is Professor David Bloomfield, who City and State has named to the Education Power 100. You can read about his work whenever there is an issue in the newspapers. He is a professor of education, leadership, law, and policy, and he's frequently turned to for his expertise in education and education law. We launched Black History Month. What a terrific program this was. Kudos to Anthony Brown, who's in the bottom right, and Tunji Fiscal, who is in the top left, and other folks in the diversity office. And kudos and great thanks to all the faculty, students, and staff who participated. What a beautiful program that was. Professor Alexandra Uhas in our film department was named a CUNY Distinguished Professor by the CUNY Board of Trustees. She joins a handful of distinguished professors who the university has recognized as internationally acclaimed scholars who've demonstrated exceptional performance and high-quality work in their discipline. Congratulations, Professor Uhas. Congratulations to Deshaun Charles Winslow, an alum of Brooklyn College, a 2-time alum of Brooklyn College. He won the 2019 Center for Fiction's First Novel Prize for his novel, In West Mills. The New York Times says, from the first page, Winslow establishes an uncanny authority and profound tone that belie the book's debut status. The Princeton Review has named Brooklyn College a best value college in the nation, which puts it in the top 7% of all the nation's four-year colleges. The assessment for best value college includes academic excellence, affordability, and return on investment. It's always nice for the college to be recognized for excellence and access. And as 2019 came to a close and 2020 began, out came the lists for the best books of 2019. Ben Lerner, professor at Brooklyn College, made many of those lists. He was on the New York Times, Washington Post, and Time Magazine list for his book, The Topeka School. He was also on Barack Obama's list of best books of 2019. Professor Helen Phillips is in the middle. She was on Time Magazine's best book list for her book, The Need, which was longlisted for a National Book Award. And Ocean Vuong made the Washington Post and Time Magazine list. He's an alum of Brooklyn College, and the book he wrote is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which was also longlisted for the National Book Award. And then COVID-19 came to us and turned the world upside down. Of course, as you know, it impacted the school very quickly, as it did all other entities in the state. Classes and the work of the college had to move to remote work, although essential workers keep the college functioning. Many of the buildings closed, many of the entrances to the campus closed, and certainly access to the campus has narrowed radically. We have been engaged in cleaning and sealing the spaces wherever we can. And as we went remote as a campus, the faculty had to learn very quickly how to teach in a remote format. This is a classroom of faculty members at Brooklyn College learning some of the practices, the best practices for online education. So our teachers became students. And as the faculty learned to teach in a remote format, our staff had to learn to work in a remote format as well. The vast majority of Brooklyn College staff are working from home. This is Richard Piatris in our communications department. Note his lovable dog, who may figure soon in one of the many webcast meetings that Richard attends. One of the things we have found out is that for many people it's complicated to work or learn or teach from home. We have cats and dogs and children and loved ones that we have to share space with, and sometimes they make appearances in our web meetings. Some of our staff have to remain on campus, despite the fact that the campus itself has gone remote. This is Hamilton Raymond, the Associate Director of Student Affairs, who runs the food pantry, which is now located near the Whitehead entrance. And the campus has tried to engage in computer device distribution. I really want to thank the carpenters who built these dividers, and Carrie Sadovnik, the Executive Director of Health and Safety on campus, who developed a plan for safe distribution with social distancing. We're now mailing students these devices when they are needed. Although the campus is mostly quiet, it's actually thriving online. As I mentioned, we have cleaned and sealed most spaces on the campus, but the college is flourishing in a remote format. It's only been 5.5 weeks. Still, so much has happened. Our costume design department in the theater is now engaged in making protective masks for first responders in the region, but also for the 100 or so essential staff that we have at Brooklyn College, the security guards, custodians, engineers, and food pantry employees who are still working on campus. Thank you to them. Students are also volunteering to deliver food to the needy. The Brooklyn College Islamic Society and the Muslim Women's Educational Initiative volunteered to help create 400 pantry boxes for families in need. Here's a student who is raising money for personal protective equipment for bodega workers. Student Nassim Almontazar has worked at his family's Brighton Beach bodega for 10 years. He's now working with the Yemeni American Merchants Association on a campaign to provide each bodega with a safety kit that includes masks, hand sanitizers, and latex gloves to protect workers. Our students who are MFA actors usually have an in-person showcase of their extraordinary talent, but this year they have an online showcase. This is one of the gorgeous pictures from that online showcase. Please jump online and take a look at these really talented young people. This is Joel Francois, graduate of Brooklyn College from 2018, who won a Soros Fellowship recently. Joel attended Brooklyn College, studied English, and fell in love with writing. He joined the Brooklyn College Slam poetry team and entered his first slam poetry competition at the notorious Nuyorican Poets Cafe. There, he beat out hundreds of poets and was named the 2015 Nuyorican Grand Slam champion. Congratulations on your Soros Fellowship. And it's not just alums who are winning awards. Professor Helen Phillips, who I mentioned before, has just won a Guggenheim Award for her work in literature, especially her recent book, The Need, which The Guardian calls thrillingly disturbing, frighteningly insightful, spilling over with offhand invention. The Need is one of this year's most necessary novels. Brooklyn College professor Sigrid Nunez has also won a Guggenheim Award for the corpus of her extraordinary literary work. Most recently, she wrote The Friend, which in 2018 won the National Book Award. The New York Times says that The Friend received, quote, euphoric reviews from critics who hailed it as a subtle, unassuming masterpiece. Congratulations to both Helen and Sigrid. And alum Ocean Vuong has just won the Mark Twain American Voice Award for On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. The Washington Post said it is a lyrical work of self-discovery that's not so much briefly gorgeous as permanently stunning. And Professor Ben Lerner has won the Los Angeles Times Best Fiction Prize for his book, The Topeka School, which the New York Times called, quote, the best book yet by the most talented writer of his generation. We're pleased to introduce a new Koppelman School of Business Dean, Ching Hu. He is a professor of information systems and is also the Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Innovation in the Zicklin School of Business at Baruch College. So he's already part of the CUNY family, and he will join us this July. The Dean for the Natural and Behavioral Sciences School will also be announced soon, and we're excited about that. When we look ahead to next fiscal year, which goes from July 2020 to July 2021, we see some gathering clouds on the budget side, mostly because of the impact of the economic downturn due to the pandemic. It's painful to face, but we have to deal with that reality. Overall, the pandemic has greatly diminished state revenues. This is Robert Mujica in the center of the slide. He's a graduate of Brooklyn College who is state budget director under Governor Andrew Cuomo. He's also on the CUNY Board of Trustees. You may have seen him at Cuomo's daily briefings on the COVID pandemic, where Mujica is right by his side, although more socially distanced than this slide renders. And the budget director talks about the tax shortfalls from the economic downturn that will affect how all state entities can operate. Looking at the state budget that was passed on April 1, it's important to understand that New York state revenues are predicted to be down $10 to $15 billion in the coming year. and that there is new executive authority baked into the budget just for this year because of the pandemic. What the budget does is gives the budget director the ability to reduce appropriations to state entities at three particular times this year: April 30th, June 30th, and December 31st. So we must be prepared for possible reductions in appropriations across the state and to CUNY. So when we look at how the state budget will affect the CUNY budget for the coming fiscal year, it appears that the operating budget will be unusually tight. There are no additional allocations for the TAP gap, for contractual salary increases, or the mandatory cost increases. These are things that we've talked about before. There's also a number of uncertainties, including these three possible reductions in the appropriation to a number of state entities, including perhaps CUNY. And there's also another big uncertainty, and that is that the state budget assumes a tuition increase, but the CUNY Board of Trustees may or may not impose a tuition increase on the students. This is a controversial proposal. We'll have to see how that shakes out. No matter what happens, though, Brooklyn College has to operate within our budget. Despite the budgetary challenges we're facing, we are working together to enhance student success. One of the things we're doing is trying to enhance communication throughout the transition to remote learning and during the time that we are not on campus. I'm sending daily messages to staff, students, and faculty, and have engaged in a couple Instagram live sessions, the first with Environmental Health and Safety Director Carrie Sadovnik, and the second last week with the Center for Academic Advisement and Student Success Executive Director Tracy Newton, who's featured here. We're going to have a number of other live sessions on career services, personal counseling, what the credit no credit policy means for you, and other things. What we're trying to do is to ensure people feel updated and included in the life of the campus, even if we're not on campus. And we're enhancing access to the college and academic momentum for our students. We're trying to enhance summer enrollment so that our students can take advantage of the opportunity to catch up or get ahead on their credits toward the degree. We're also trying to ensure that our fall enrollment is as robust as possible to enhance access to the campus. We're also working to improve remote student services that students normally would get in person. We're providing those online. So personal counseling, the health clinic, the IT help desk, academic advising, and peer tutoring, we're all delivering online. We're also going to continue to provide computer loans for students who don't have computers at home and have a fully stocked food pantry for our students. We're also focusing on online course excellence, really engaging in professional development for faculty to continue to improve their classes, including training in online best practices. We're offering these courses for faculty through the Center for Teaching and Learning and Academic Instructional Technology, as well as our IT department. At the same time, we have to recognize that the campus has suffered substantial losses. 4 members of our community have passed away due to the COVID-19 disease, and the loss is tremendous. This is Professor Moshe Augenstein from the Computer Science Department. He worked in the Computer Science Department for 45 years and was deputy chair of the department. Had friends throughout the department, staff, faculty, and certainly his students. Very much cared for him, and it's an enormous loss. This is Professor Mark Bloom from the theater department. He's an Obie Award-winning stage and screen actor who passed away this year due to COVID. He was absolutely beloved by his colleagues and his students, and it's a tremendous loss for the Department of Theater. This is Jay Jankelowitz, graduate of Brooklyn College from 2013. Technically, he is the philosophy department office manager, but he really was the heart and soul of the philosophy department, a man with extraordinary enthusiasm, really infectious enthusiasm for the philosophy department, for making it more a home than an office. Beloved by his colleagues, he will be sorely missed. This is Juliette Manrog, another graduate of the college from 2007. She was a human resources manager for recruitment and employee relations, and in that role, she really touched so many people across the campus. Most of the faculty and staff who ran searches for new employees and new faculty members were helped by Juliette. She was a very kind and calm presence for everyone she worked with, and she will be greatly, greatly missed. We can't forget as well that it's not just these 4 people who we have lost as a community. Countless other students, staff, and faculty members have lost family members and loved ones to this disease. People are under great stress, and many people are in direct grief from these losses. We have to pull together and try to support one another during this really challenging time. I promise you all that when we return to campus, we will gather for a memorial to honor all of those we have lost, and we will try to celebrate their lives. You know, we will only return to campus when it is safe and when we're sure we're all going to be safe. But when we do return, the campus setting itself will bring us great comfort. We'll sit by the lily pond, look at the fish and the turtles, and enjoy the trees. We'll be able to marvel at the tulips again. They are with us briefly, but they have great impact. We'll be able to come together and enjoy the shade of the trees again, sit on the lawn, and enjoy what it feels like to share such a beautiful college campus. And we'll be able to see each other in person again on campus. We'll be able to stand near to one another and share experiences with one another again. And perhaps most importantly, we'll be able to take classes in person again, shoulder to shoulder, learning new things, discovering new ideas. I want to end by saying that I hope all of you are well as you can be, given the circumstances. I want to encourage you to take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones. Stay inside, hang in there. We will get through this and come together again as a community one day. I really want to thank you for listening to this stated meeting, and I wish you all the best.